In order to move on, we need to actually have some data within the spreadsheet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the student service learning. I'm going to click on preview, and then I'm going to add some data. All right, I'm going to just do 4 records. I'll do this very quickly. Okay, you can see here now we've got these this dummy data that's in there. So what we need to do now is we need to just set up a few sheets in order to pull other data in. The first data we're going to pull in is from our supervisor form. Okay, so I'm just going to click on new sheet, and we're going to call this, rename this to supervisor form. And then we're just going to simply write a query in order to pull the data in. We use a formula called import range, but before we do that, let's go and get the required data. So what we do need is this URL at the top, so that string of characters there. So we're going to copy that, and then we're going to do import range. There it is. And then we need to put the spreadsheet key, but we need that in quotes. And then we need the sheet that we're doing, which is form responses 1. Okay, so let's do that. And again, we need it in quotes. And because there's spaces, we need a single quote as well. Form responses 1, single quote, and then an exclamation mark. And we want to do all the columns. So the columns are from A to H at the moment. So I'm going to go a little bit further than that. I'm going to go to A to Z. All right, so I'm going to pull in all the A to Z ones. Okay, so A and then colon Z, and then we can end the quotes and then the bracket. So we've pulled in our spreadsheet key, and then from this sheet, from that spreadsheet, we're pulling in the data from column A to Z. So let's return that. Now, the first thing it's going to do is say that there's an error, there's a reference, but we do need to allow this. So let's allow that. And then you can see it's pulled in the data. So let's just tidy this up a bit with some text wrap, and there we go. Okay, so we got the data that we want. And now we can go back to form responses. Okay, so that's our first sheet that we need to sort out. Now we need to create another sheet, and this is going to be, and we're going to call this the service supervisor's email. So let's change the name of that, service supervisor email. Now we need to do a manager one as well, but we're going to do that in a second. Now in here, what we want to do is put the information of the services and the email addresses of those services. Our first column, we're going to say service. Our second column is the email address of the supervisor, and then the name of the supervisor and what service number we're giving this. Okay, so the service in this case would be, we have 2, we've got service 1 and service 2. And for emails, I'm just going to put my email in. My name is Richard Poth, and this is the first service. And then we can do the same for service 2 again. So we've got some information in there. So, all right, so there we have our supervisor email set up. Got our form set up, and we're pulling the data in from the other one. There isn't actually anything in there at the moment. And now what we got is, and there's our original data. So now what we want to do is create a new sheet where we only want to pull in the data for service 1. Okay, so we're going to do that now. So let's click on a new sheet, and we're going to change the name, and we're going to call that service 1. Okay, and then we'll just bring that over to the end there, so it's tidied up. Now to do this, we need to do a query. So we're going to write a query, and we're going to pull in the data from form responses 1. So let's select form responses 1, and we're going to go from A, and let's go up to Z again at the moment. All right, so A to Z. Now we may have to change that when our services start getting bigger. All right, so I would suggest just remembering that at the moment, because there's nothing in these cells at the moment, but as our services get bigger, you may need to change this Z. Then we need to select, so we need to select, and we want to select everything where, now, what we want to do is where the service matches the service from service 1. So the service would be column E, so where column E equals, now we need to do treble quotes and ampersand here. Let me put this in and then I'll explain it. So it has to have 3 quotes here and we need 3 quotes at the end. I don't know why, but that seems to be how it works. Then we need an ampersand and an ampersand at the end, and then in between is the data that we want. So we want the cell A1, the cell A2 from the service supervisor's email. Okay, so there's the service supervisor's email. All right, it's actually supervisor email. Okay, so we want where the column E equals that. So, and then we also want, and we'll leave that at that for now, and then bracket. Okay, and we need to finish off with another quote. So we need 4 quotes in there, and there we go. So let's just talk through that again. So the query is finding everything from the form responses 1 spreadsheet, which is this down here. It's finding all the fields, that's why the star's there, where column E, all right, which is our service column, is equal to cell A from the service supervisor email, which is cell A2, which is this one here. So where it's equal to that, so service 1, it's going to pull in all the service 1s. Now what we can do is duplicate this now and change and rename that to service 2, and then just change the formula to A3, which is here service 2, which is A3. So let's go to service 2 and change that to service A3, and now you've got service 2 here. Okay, so now what we're doing is we're creating sheets for the specific information that we want. That concludes this section, and what we're going to do in the next section is take some information from these sheets and populate the Google form for the supervisor. I'll explain that in more detail in the next video.